Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree Buonomo. Hi if you're new here, or hey if you've been here before. And today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my entire year recap, because back in 2019, when I was still a very newbie YouTuber, author-tuber, booktuber, I made some goals for the year of 2020, and today we're going to talk about if I actually met them or if I failed miserably. Now in this video, I will be combining both my reading and my writing goals. We are not going to waste time here today. We are just going to get right into it. And before you question, or I mean, maybe you're not going to question, but before you ask any questions regarding how I'm going to run this, we're keeping it really casual. And by that, I mean, I already watched through my past videos. I wrote down what all my goals were, and I'm just going to be talking to you. I'm going to be chill. We're going to have a conversation, and I'm just going to kind of run through my thoughts and, you know, why I met them, why I didn't meet them, etc. If you want to go watch those videos, I will link them down below, because I wanted to do this before I start talking about my 2021 goals, which those videos will be out in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for those if you're interested. Now, on to my 2020 goals. So obviously 2020 has been such an interesting year for the entire world, and it had a lot of challenges that I don't think a lot of people anticipated, especially when me, at least, and I'm sure other people, started thinking about what they wanted to accomplish in the year 2020. And for me, that in some ways helped some of my goals happen and occur, and in other ways it hindered others. So we're gonna start with my reading goals. But before I do, I just want to say one thing. I went back and watched both of my reading and writing goals videos for what I think I posted them in December of 2019. And a couple times people have mentioned to me, like, my editing's gotten better, and like the videos are like, I'm more comfortable, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, well, I've always kind of been comfortable, and I think my editing still sucks, but okay. My friends, I actually have gotten better because I didn't cut anything out of those videos. Like, oh Lord, other than like the beginning and the end, I think we just went for it. So I'm a little proud of myself that in 2020, I've actually become a better YouTuber. So thanks if you stuck around. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna jump into my reading goals and talk about if I met them or not. So number one on that list was to complete more reading challenges. And I basically meant that I wanted to do like specialized TBR videos. I wanted to participate in like any kind of, I think it was like readathons and stuff like that. Like, I really wanted to push myself with what I read and incorporating it with my channel. And for the most part, I met that. I didn't meet it as frequently as I thought, especially because this year really took off on my writing side. I had a lot of writing content, which I didn't necessarily plan when I was thinking of the year ahead, but I was happy about it. I'm never going to take that back. But because of that, a lot of my reading challenge content fell by the wayside. However, I did try to do a reading books by signed authors TBR video. I did my tarot cards pick my TBR video, and I think I had another TBR challenge, I believe, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I also did a reading challenge where I found different websites and they based book recommendations off your horoscope. So I did my horoscope picked my next book that I read challenge, where I pulled the name out of the jar of like the book that I was going to read, and then did a vlog around that. And that went really well personally. I had a lot of fun doing it. I would totally do that again. But I did maybe want to do like a full month of doing that. I just never got around to it. So overall, we did some reading challenges. The one that I mentioned in that video was reading Goodreads winners, which was like the Goodreads Choice Award. I wanted to read like whatever category won or something. I had no idea what I actually wanted to do, but I wanted to like pick a few, maybe like fantasy young adult, some of like the categories that I do like to read, and read the winners and report back on if I think they should have won. I did not do that, and I'm okay with it. I had too much on my plate anyway. The next one that I had a caveat, and it really wasn't a goal, and I didn't include this, but I did mention it, that I would have loved to do a challenge where I had like my subscribers pick a TBR or give me some suggestions, and I would incorporate that into a video. I wanted to hit 500 subscribers before I made that video. And I said in that video that I really thought it was a pipe dream. I was hoping that I would at least reach 300 subscribers by the end of the year. I think I'm at 470, so I am really close to 500, which blows my mind so much, and I'm so thankful for that. But because of that, I'm still not going to do that, any kind of like you pick my TBR or contribute to a video challenge until I get a little bit more, because it's just hard when you don't have a lot of people commenting on your videos, and I might only get one suggestion, and that's not much of a video at the end of the day. So we will probably still wait on that, but maybe 2021 we'll have that. The next reading goal that I had for 2020 was to read more horror. And I don't know, honestly, if you can say that I did this. I did read some horror books, but specifically I mentioned reading more classic horror, which I read none of, Stephen King, which I read none of, and The Passage by Justin Cronin, which I did not read. So I kind of failed. I did read Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, and I read 2 young adult books that were in the horror category. One was a horror fantasy, and one was a gothic horror. I liked the 2 young adults. Imaginary Friend I just recently reviewed on my channel. You can go check it out. But overall, I did not incorporate as much. Partly, I think it was because I had planned on reading some books with other people, and those plans fell by the wayside. So I kept putting them off, thinking that we would read them eventually, and we didn't. And that's fine. To each their own. However, I really did want to read more in general, and more that was, not with other people, that I should have just picked up at some point. But I'm a mood reader, and the mood just did not strike me. So here we are. Another goal was just to continue reading the variety of books that I had been reading. Last year in 2019, I had a pretty big variety just because of talking to people I worked with, people in the booktube and authortube community that was always giving me recommendations. So I had just tried to read more, and I did that very well this year. I read a lot of literary fiction. I believe I read a few self-help, but not a lot, because I kind of burned myself out in 2019 with self-help. I read some more mystery thrillers. I read a little bit of horror. So I kept myself pretty open again, and that's just what I like. I'm happy with that. I'm happy where I read. Next, I had the goal to read at least 5 books over 500 pages. Take a break here and guess if I did this. Okay, do you have your guess? Because the answer is I did. Ladies and gentlemen, I read books over 500 pages. If you haven't been here, and I really haven't mentioned it much in my recent videos, but I have an issue with reading larger books because I feel like they take me so long to get through that the commitment ends up scaring me off, because I have so many books that are under 500 pages that I can get through like that, and I'm more excited to pick those ones up. But in the year of 2020, I read 6. I read 6 books that are over 500 pages. Those included City of Brass and Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty, My Calamity Jane by the Lady Janies, which is like Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. I read Middle Game by Shauna McGuire, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. The only thing that I will say that I kind of messed up a little bit is I both said that The Passage and A Plague of Giants were 2 books over 500 pages that I wanted to read, and I did not read either of those. So I read more. That was my goal, but I didn't read the 2 that I thought I should. My next goal for reading goals was to finish all the series I started. And I don't know why I thought I was going to do this, because we didn't. I don't know if I finished a single series that I intended to. Back in 2019, I made a video about series that I need to finish, and that was like my template for what book series I wanted to read, and I don't think I read a single one. I'm not going to fact check myself. You guys can definitely go fact check me if you have the time. But yeah, I really didn't read a lot. I wanted to finish Sabaa Tahir's series fully. Didn't do that. I wanted to finish the Red Queen. I wanted to finish the Red Queen series. I wanted to finish the Muse of Nightmares. It was the second book for Strange the Dreamer. So there was just a lot that I wanted to finish, and I didn't. And I'm looking around, I really don't think so. So we didn't meet that goal whatsoever. The next goal that I had was to make more reading vlogs, and I didn't really give myself a premise for how much I wanted to do, but I said up to once a month was what I would be satisfied with at the most. And overall, I actually did quite a bit of vlogs, and I did a variety of vlogs. Like I said, I did a horoscope video where I vlogged me reading that. I did a couple different weekend vlogs. I did a lot during the Camp Nanos and NaNoWriMos. Like I did a lot of vlogs, and I'm happy with that. I found out through this NaNoWriMo that vlogging every week does take a lot out of me. And I actually acknowledged that in my 2020 goals video, that I just don't think I could vlog every week. So I already knew that it was not going to do well for me. So I'm fine with the amount of vlogs that I actually completed, and I'm pretty proud of them. I think I've gotten a lot better with my vlogs as the year progressed. All right, and then my last 3 goals are pretty easy. Every single year, I set a goal to read 52 books in a year. And at the time that I'm filming this video, I have surpassed my 52 books. I'm trying to, currently, as of today filming it, I'm at 53 books, with 2 books that I'm almost finished with. So probably by the time this goes up, I'll actually have 55 books completed, but today I have 53. So I surpassed it, and I always keep it at that goal because sometimes I do really well and I'll go way over it. Other times I'm just getting there, but especially with the variety of books that I've read some novellas this year and poetry collections, and I've also read books that are over 500. So that's why I think 52 is doable for me, especially with audiobooks. I also had the intention of doing more buddy reads. Unfortunately, as I've already mentioned this, a lot of my buddy reads just fell by the wayside for various reasons. One person just left YouTube abruptly. I don't know what ended up happening. I know they're okay. It's not like anything crazy, but I don't know if they just got burned out. It was too much of a commitment. They just weren't happy with it. But we were going to plan a buddy read, and they just dropped off YouTube. So unfortunately that didn't happen. We had some people who had like medical conditions or issues, and or just like was getting burned out and too overcommitted and couldn't do it. And as well as I just didn't push it on anyone. But even though I didn't do any for my YouTube channel, I did a few personal buddy reads with friends. And those went really well, and I had fun discussing those throughout the year. So all in all, I did some buddy reads. I think we could say I met that one. And the last goal that I had for 2020 with my reading was to watch more book adaptations, whether those were movies or TV shows. And I don't know. I don't think I did this. After my 2019 video went out, I started, I think it was during Christmas week, I started looking for Alaska. And I technically would have finished it in 2020. However, I never watched the last episode because I am the worst. I am the worst person that ever existed. Why? Why did I do this? I still haven't seen it. And as I'm talking here to you, and I'm like, I really should just go watch one more freaking episode. But that's where we're at. I have watched a few adaptations. Obviously, there was a couple that came out that were pretty popular. But my brain is melting, and I can't actually tell you specifically which ones I've watched at this point. Both TV shows and movies. But I have watched a few. It just wasn't at the rate that I wanted to. And also, the goal of that was to like read the books and then watch the adaptations, and I definitely did not do that at all. I probably, if I watched any adaptations, they were more likely that I read the book a while ago and then saw the adaptation, or I watched the adaptation without reading the book. So I don't know. I don't really feel like I succeeded in that one. I do want to do it. I had a lot of fun watching, like reading the book with someone and then watching the movie and comparing them, but we'll see if I tried this again in 2021. All right. With all that said, we're going to move into the writing goals that I had for 2020. And I feel like, again, we kind of had some hits and misses with these goals. The first one was, In 2019, I started writing a contemporary young adult novel, and I wanted to finish writing it by April of 2020. So in NaNoWriMo 2019, you can go watch my vlogs if you're interested. I mean, I'm just going to tell you here, pretty much the sum up was I didn't win. I wrote about 27,000 words, and I kind of gave up because I just was not in a good mental health space myself to write a hard-hitting contemporary. So my goal was to finish it by April because I was like, oh, well, I'll give it some space and clear my head, and by Camp April, I will finish it. But as we all know what happened with the world as of March, for most people, especially in the United States, Camp April came, and my entire creative energy was zapped. My entire life changed, as so many people's lives have changed, and I just couldn't do anything. Camp April was such a failure. I think for me, it was more of a failure in like the productivity sense than even NaNoWriMo 2019. But I'm not going to be too hard on myself just because of how the world was then. But needless to say, April of 2020 didn't go well, so we didn't finish it. However, I did finish my contemporary novel, and I finished that in Camp July of 2020. And that was wonderful. Camp July, as we know if you've been here, was really, really productive for me. So I finished my contemporary novel, and we met that goal. The second goal that I had, which was started last year, was to do a collaboration project we fun and lovingly entitled Misfit Witches with two of my friends that are in real life, Caitlin and Maggie, and we were going to try to write, initially we thought maybe it was going to be an anthology, but then we decided just to make it a book and have like the different chapters be from different people writing them. So as far as that kind of went, it kind of hit a wall, and I'll just call her out. I love her, but Maggie kind of hit the wall. Me and Caitlin ended up writing our chapters, and Maggie just then never ended up writing hers, and it's just kind of there in the ether. Again, it was just a fun project. We had no idea what we wanted to do with it other than write it, but I did write my first chapter, which was the first chapter for the project itself, and I really, really loved it. I had a lot of fun. I finished that during Camp July of this year. And if we pick it up and we get back to it, I think it's going to be a really fun time overall. I think a lot of people who like lighter fantasy books will really like it. So my third goal for writing was to finish my co-written project with Caitlin, which I don't really know. Project Gold, I think that's what I started terming it for this channel, just so people can remember what I'm talking about. So I think it was Project Gold, which was the co-written book that I've been working on forever with Caitlin. Our goal was to pretty much finish everything, and we wanted to be fully queried by March 21st of 2020. Just March alone, I feel like should give you the indication. But on the plus side, the part that we did meet this goal essentially, except with the querying part. So what I mean by that is we finished editing in its entirety. We went through it tooth and nail several times throughout the year, making sure that it was fine. We got a few eyes on it that gave us pretty good feedback. We edited the hell out of the query letter so many times. And there's a lot of vlogs on that if you're interested to see how much I hate writing a query letter for that book. But we also ended up submitting to the Pitch Wars competition, which was not actually planned, but we did that in lieu of actually doing hard querying, just because I really don't know how the publishing world is handling things right now, and I didn't know what our chances were, to be honest. So we decided to enter Pitch Wars. We did not get accepted, but it was a good experience, and it really helped us like make sure that we were finishing the stuff that we needed to do, because we were putting off some of like the synopsis, like making the query letter. We put off a lot of stuff just because we were like, who knows what's going to happen. But I'm happy with the experience that we had trying to push to get through to Pitch Wars, because it made us better with deadlines. So overall, the book is ready to go. It's sitting in limbo. I just don't know what we're going to do with that, and we might talk about that more in the 2021 goals. All right, so next was my goals. Were pretty broad and varying for the NaNoWriMos. So for my Camp April, which I guess, I'm sorry, I think I messed up already in this video, but I wanted to finish writing my contemporary novel by April, because in April, for Camp April, I wanted to edit my prophecy project in full. I don't know why I thought I could do that, honestly. So Camp April, my goal was to finish my Nano 2018 project, which is Prophecy Project, in its entirety. And again, we just didn't do anything in Camp April. I also then ended up moving my goal after Camp July. I wanted to finish Prophecy Project by the end of August, which again, didn't do it. And then I just kept extending the goal and extending the goal. So we do have a better timeline now for how long this is actually going to take. And I'll talk about that in the 2021 goals video. But needless to say, the time I'm filming this video, we did not edit. We did not do our first round edits on Prophecy Project in their entirety. But we've gotten through, I think, 18 chapters, which are pretty solid considering I had to add a lot. And I think I started it at 57,000 and I'm already at 70,000 words and we're only halfway through the book. So I'm definitely adding a lot of value to the story currently and I'm happy with that. Camp July, my intention was very open. I actually had no hard goals. I just wanted to do whatever I needed to do in Camp July. And boy, did I perform in Camp July. During Camp July, we finished writing my contemporary project, which is Project Hope. I don't think I mentioned that at this point in the video, but Project Hope, we finished writing its first draft in its entirety. I finished writing a Salem short story that I just really loved, and I had a good time writing it, especially because I love the history around Salem, Massachusetts. I finished writing I started and finished writing during Camp July a sci-fi story that I always wanted to write and just never knew how, and it just came to me and I finally wrote it. I also wrote a few poems during the month, which was great. And overall, it was just a really fun time. So I had a lot of fun writing and talking about those, and I have some recaps on Camp July. If you're interested, you can go find those on my channel. And then for NaNoWriMo 2020, my intention a year ago was to write my horror fantasy. And up until Preptober of this year, I was going to write that still. However, I started getting other ideas, as I mentioned in 2019. In my 2019, I already predicted how I was going to act. I was like, I am going to get so many ideas if I don't write this story. And lo and behold, we did. But I started actually writing the Mermaid Project story, which I got years ago and just, again, kind of marinated forever until I was finally like, nah, I think I'm going to go with this. And I did. I started writing a satire as well, but the Mermaid was what was the champion in that. I won NaNoWriMo, so I think I could say I completed that goal. I just didn't do it with the project that I thought I was going to. And the last writing goal that I had, which I was still iffy on, I threw it out there, and that was to write a poetry collection and look into possibly self-publishing it. So this is still in my head and something that I would play around with, but I have nothing concrete about this. I only said that I might consider doing it, and for the most part, I'm still there. However, on a good note, I've written more poetry than I have since I've graduated college. And that's undergraduate, and that's like 6 years ago. So I am really, really happy with the progress that I've made with my poetry, because I forgot how much I love poetry. And doing a lot of these challenges, and that's like Instagram challenges and challenging myself and looking up prompts to submit places and getting inspired by those prompts, all of that has just really kicked my poetry up a notch. And I'm sure like some things have to be edited still, but I'm really happy with a lot of where my poems were. And also, because of thinking about writing a poetry book, I started going back to my older poetry that I've written. And honestly, I'm really impressed with some of the ones that I workshopped in college, because some of them are good, I think. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea, but they are what I like, and I'm very proud of those poems. So I'm still, there's nothing in the works, so no one get excited, but I'm still playing around with the idea of, if I have enough poems, can I use the ones that I have and put them into a collection? Because that's the biggest thing, is I need to have enough poetry to make a poetry book, but they have to kind of have a theme. So that's what I would need to make sure I have some kind of theme and it would work. And I have an inkling of what that theme might be, but we'll see. So I'm sure this video is entirely too long, but I did want to just recap about what my intentions were from 2019 and how they played out in 2020. And overall, despite it being one hell of a year and not always for the better, I think I did very well personally, and I'm really happy with the growth that I've had, both as a reader, a writer, and as a YouTuber. I think I've grown a lot in this platform, and my editing skills, my comfortability, and just my outreach and my community that I've built have been great. So it's weird because this is the first time that I'm kind of really reflecting on my first year, but I've been on YouTube over a year now, and just barely over a year, and I've learned a lot about myself as well as what I can actually accomplish when I set my mind to something. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will continue to be posting videos on Tuesdays and Fridays, and we will be continuing to do these recaps and reviews of 2020 moving forward. So if you like those, if you like to watch gold videos, if you like to watch recaps of my favorites and least favorite books, definitely stick around because those are what will be coming in the next few weeks. And until next time, I'll see you then. Bye.